It's true, you will need a market. In fact, you'll need several markets to focus on in order to get into the apartment investing business, the multifamily apartment investing business. And so here's a couple of things for you to consider. Really, the best market that you can get into is the one that you live in. You know the dynamics of the market, you know the population, you know the demographics, you know what's hot and moving in your market. It's very easy for you to find information and news on your market, and you can evaluate the growth of your particular market. And so your backyard is about the best place to start in your market analysis. Now, the only caveat there really is if your market has some oddity to it, like it's oversaturated, growth is not there, population is not there, industry, jobs, and income, a growth in income is not there. So if your market, the market that you live in, is experiencing challenges, and I don't mean just temporary challenges, but I mean sustained challenges over time, then you'll want to look at a different market to be investing in. So your backyard is really about the best place for you to start. That's the city in which you live and the surrounding communities in that city. For example, I live in San Antonio, Texas. I was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas, and though I had moved off and lived in numerous other places around the country for an extended period of time, I lived in Las Vegas, I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, I lived in Salt Lake City, I lived in parts of California, I lived in Austin, Texas, I lived in a bunch of different places where I have investments. I returned to San Antonio. It's my home base. It's where my family is. And so I have a really nice working knowledge, a long history, a long base of knowledge about San Antonio and the surrounding markets, all the little towns around San Antonio that the city has grown into. So if you're in that kind of market, that you have a hub and then you have the surrounding suburban areas, little municipalities, townships that are basically an extension of the major city that you live in, that's a good market to start in because you know it, you're familiar with it, you can work it, you can network in it, and you can gather a lot of information, and you can drive by and see properties immediately. So that's, a good place to start. Next, if beyond your own hometown and your backyard, I would say go to a market that you know something about. Maybe you have extended family members that live in that market. You visited this market a lot. Maybe you went to university there. You went to college there. Maybe you had a job there at one time. Some reason for you to know about that market more than you would normally know in just about any other market because you have history in that market. And then I would say select a market that is of interest to you. Maybe it's cultural, maybe it's arts, maybe it's entertainment, maybe it's sports, maybe it's a geographical pleasure to you, something that attracts you to that market because that's going to hold your interest in that market. That's another good market for you to evaluate. And then there are some other markets that you'll want to evaluate, markets that you just find out through your research are trending, markets that seem to be solid, have a solid path of growth, a sustained path of growth, as well as the future projections of that market look really good. So you can evaluate those markets also. So basically that's 4 markets.